Ever scroll through Instagram and wonder how those filters work? Or play a video game with crazy graphics and wonder how they make them so real?
That's all thanks to coding.
Coding is like this secret language
Hmm.
that makes all the tech we love do all the things we love.
Yeah, it kind of is like a secret
And
language or
just,
superpower or something.
well, today we're going to crack that code and take a deep dive into the world of coding for beginners.
Perfect.
We'll break down why it's such a valuable skill.
Yeah,
Look at some languages that won't make your head spin and even help you get started on your own coding journey.
that sounds good.
All right, so first things first. Why should anyone even bother with learning how to code? Like, I remember trying to learn some basic HTML back in the day, and it was
Yeah.
a struggle, to say the least.
Well, it definitely can be a steep learning curve, but the payoff is huge, right?
Yeah. Is it really worth all
Think about it.
the effort?
Coding is everywhere nowadays. It's not just for like tech geniuses in Silicon Valley anymore.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like in
These steps
healthcare,
are everywhere.
they're using code to, analyze massive amounts of patient data or to create like personalized treatment plans.
Oh, wow. I never thought about it like that.
Or even in the arts.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen a theatrical production recently with those incredible like moving lights and
Right.
crazy effects?
Yes.
That's all powered by code. So really, it's a way to solve problems
Okay.
and express your creativity in ways we couldn't have imagined before.
So you're saying learning to code is more about thinking outside the box and like problem solving, no matter what you're into.
Exactly. And bringing your ideas to life.
Right.
Like if you've ever thought, man, I wish there was an app that could do this.
Right.
Well, with coding, you could actually build it yourself.
Okay. I'm listening. So where do we even begin? Like, there are so many different coding languages out there.
Oh, yeah.
How do we choose the right one to start with?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question. And it's kind of like picking the right tool for the job. So let's say you're interested in building websites. HTML is a good place to start. It's like the foundation of every website.
HTML.
Like, think of it as the blueprint. It structures the content, the headings, the paragraphs, the images, all that stuff.
Okay, so like the bare bones of the site.
Right. And then you have CSS, and that's all about style. So it's like the interior design
Okay.
of your website. It controls things like the colors, the fonts, the layout.
Making it all look good.
Yeah, making it look all pretty and visually appealing.
Okay, so HTML provides the structure. CSS makes it look nice. But what if I want to, add some cool features, like
Yeah.
make things interactive on the website?
Well, then you would want to dive into JavaScript.
JavaScript.
Yeah. Think about those drop-down menus or image carousels or those animations that happen when you scroll down a page.
Right.
That's all JavaScript. It basically brings your website to life, makes it dynamic and engaging.
All right, so for websites, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, I got it. But what if I want to, do something beyond websites? Like, what if I have an idea for a cool app or something?
Well, then Python might be a good choice.
Python, okay.
It's really versatile, and it's known for being beginner-friendly. It's very readable.
Okay.
And you can use it for a ton of different things. I mean, you could create a simple calculator.
Right.
Or you could write a program to track your investments.
Oh, interesting.
You can even use it for like data analysis and machine learning.
Wow. I'm starting to see how this coding thing could be used for pretty much anything.
Yeah.
But where do we actually write the code? Like, what tools do I need?
Right. So you're going to need something called a code editor.
Code editor, okay.
Think of it as like your digital workshop where you write and edit all your code.
Okay.
There are tons of options out there, but a couple of popular ones are VS Code and Atom.
VS Code and Atom, all right, I've heard of those.
They're free to use, and they have tons of features that make coding easier, like syntax highlighting, so it color codes your code so it's easier to read, and auto-completion, which helps you write code faster, and then debugging tools to help you find and fix errors in your code.
All right, well, that's all great, but what if I'm a complete beginner? Are there any, like, simpler options to just kind of get my feet wet?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There are platforms like Scratch.
Scratch?
It's designed for beginners, and it uses a visual drag-and-drop interface. So you basically piece together blocks of code like puzzle pieces.
Okay, that sounds a little less intimidating.
There
What about resources? Like, I'm all about free and accessible learning. Where can someone go to, start learning without spending a ton of money?
are tons of great resources online.
Okay.
Platforms like Codecademy and Free Codecamp offer interactive tutorials, and they're completely free.
Sweet.
And of course, you can't forget about YouTube. There are literally thousands of coding tutorials and courses available.
Well, for sure, YouTube's got everything.
You can find pretty much anything you want to learn there for free.
All right. So that covers the tools and the resources, but what about the actual coding itself? What are some of the core concepts that every beginner needs to grasp?
Okay, well, let's start with variables.
Variables.
Think of a variable as a container that holds information. Like think of a grocery list.
Okay.
You have items on your list like milk, eggs, bread. A variable can store those same kinds of things.
Okay, I get it.
It can store numbers, it can store text, it can even store lists of items.
So variables hold the information. What else?
Then we have loops.
Loops. Okay.
A loop is like a checklist that repeats a set of instructions
Okay.
until a certain condition is met. So like, if you want to print all the numbers from 1 to 10, you
Yeah.
can use a loop to do that.
Okay. So variables store the information. Loops repeat actions.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Then we have functions.
Okay. Functions.
Functions are like mini programs within your code. They perform specific tasks like maybe calculating the area of a circle
Uh-huh.
or checking if a number is even or odd.
Okay. So they do specific jobs within the code.
Right. And they make your code more organized and reusable.
Makes sense. What else?
And then we have conditional statements.
Okay. Conditional statement.
These are like the decision makers in your code.
All right.
They use if and else statements to decide what happens next. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
in real life, you make decisions based on certain conditions.
Right. Like if it's raining, I'll take an umbrella.
Exactly.
Oh,
It's the same idea in coding.
So those are some of the basic building blocks of coding.
Mm-hmm.
Variables, loops, functions, conditional statements.
Yeah.
But what happens when I hit a snag? Like those annoying error messages,
Mm-hmm.
How do I deal with that?
Yeah, debugging is a big part of coding.
Debugging.
But don't be discouraged by errors.
Right.
They're actually your best teachers. They tell you what's not working,
Okay.
and they force you to think critically about your code.
So how do we even begin to debug these errors?
One thing is to break down your code into smaller chunks.
So you can isolate the problem. There's also tons of online resources and forums where you can find solutions to common errors.
Right.
And really important, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Asking for help is huge. Where are some good places to find support when you're feeling stuck?
Online communities like Reddit and GitHub are amazing.
Okay.
They're full of supportive coders of all skill levels, and they're usually really happy to help beginners.
Awesome. And there are tons of great coding YouTubers and podcasters out there too, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like who break things down in a way that's easy to understand.
Mm-hmm.
So to recap, we've got HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for web development.
Yep.
Python for more general purpose programming, VS Code, and Atom for writing code,
Yep.
and a whole bunch of awesome online resources and communities to support us along the way.
Exactly. And the most important thing to remember is
Yeah.
don't be afraid to make mistakes,
Right.
because that's how you learn. Just start small, be patient, and celebrate your progress. Love it. And as you're starting your coding journey, I want you to think about this. What problem in your life would you love to solve with code? Like what's something you could automate or something you could create that would make things easier or better? Keep those questions in mind
Yeah.
and just dive in.
You might surprise yourself.
You might be surprised by what you can accomplish.
Yeah. And who knows? You might discover a passion for coding that you never even knew you had.
That's the power of coding.
It is.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the world of coding for beginners. We hope you found it informative and inspiring, and we can't wait to see what amazing things you create.
Happy coding.